What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're going to be trying to add a small amp and some 4x4 speakers into my regular cab. I have Brian with me here to help me out as well. And let me show you just a quick setup of what we're thinking about doing. Maybe it'll help you if you're thinking about doing something like that on your truck. Let me show you. So here we have my small amp. It's nothing crazy. We have some 4x4 speakers, which we are going to be putting into the A-pillars of the single cab. If you didn't know about this, they fit perfectly here. And the speakers that fit there are the exact same size as your speakers that you're going to have in your dash. So just something if you want to keep in mind if you want to add some speakers. We have our amp kit here. Our amp, like I said before, and then we're gonna go ahead and probably remove my stereo really quick so we can start working on that. But let's get to it. So we did a little bit of prep. We removed some of the trim that went along the side here and the door sill, because we're gonna try to run all our wiring under the carpet into this area for the amp itself. We have our wiring kit ready, and then we are prepping over here for the engine bay. So here's our wiring. This is going to be for the positive. If you don't have a Weber carb, you will have a bunch of stuff right here, which is going to make it a lot more difficult for you to run some wiring. I have the carb on mine, so I really recommend you do that one. There's plenty of videos out there that can help you with that, but that frees up everything here related to the EGR. So that's where we're going to run our wiring. Now, my wiring is running to this little plug over here, which I had kind of put a lot of electrical tape and everything to keep the water out. So Brian's trying to peel some of that out so we can run our power cable through that same hole, and then put some more tape on it to keep it watertight, hopefully. Alright guys, so we have our wire run. We have plenty of spare wire here for any cuts and the fuse. Now we're going to start taping this back up so it's nice and watertight. And then on the inside, we have our wire kind of just where it's going to be running. We're going to run it along the edge here, and then we have plenty of wire so we can run it hopefully towards the center of the carpet, make a hole somewhere around here where we're going to place the amp, and then have it ready to be connected into it. But now that we have our power wire running, that we're going to plug that at the end, we're going to start moving into the next step, which is going to be running our RCA cables and our ground and speaker wire and anything else that we might need to get those speakers on the side here working. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, so we have our speaker here. We have our wires plugged into it. We can already mocked it up a little bit on that side. We're going to be running the wire through the back here down into this little hole back down there. Let me do that one, and then underneath the carpet all the way across to the passenger side. This is going to fit perfect. We kind of already mocked it up, so it should reach all the way fine, and then we'll have that side basically ready to go on the driver's side. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, we got our speaker all nice and in place. We are running the wire through the back pillar right there into that bottom hole like we talked about. And the wire is going to be running all along the edge here. And it might be a little bit short. It looks like we're figuring out it might be a little bit short, just trying to get all the way here. So we might just do a little extension from here to the actual amplifier. But besides that, it's working perfect over there. It fits perfect. So we're gonna jump and do this side really quick, just so we have our cables ready to go, and then we'll worry about having all the cables connected to the amplifier. Alright guys, since our wire was a little bit short from that side and we don't want to splice almost at the amp, we actually took out the factory jack and then lift the carpet, and we're going to run it along the side here and then just make a small cut somewhere here so it can plug right into the amp itself. But you know, it just takes a couple little plugs, take a couple plugs out, and then you're able to lift up the carpet. Okay guys, check it out. We've been doing a lot of work in here. You see, you have a mess, but we basically got the amplifier where it's probably gonna stay from now on. We have our power wire here going to where it needs to go. It just needs to be plugged in. We have our ground, which was the first one we were making sure we were gonna have correct. So our ground's gonna go here into the bolt that we're not using from the seat belts. So if you're switching to bucket seats from a bench, that's where your lap belt is going to be attached. We won't need that. That's going to be a good grinding point for us. We have our speaker wire going to the pillar speakers on each side coming out of the carpet here. We made a small little cut so they're nice and clean inside of there. We still need to run this wire under the carpet and make sure we run the REM wire from the stereo to the amplifier, but we're basically getting pretty close to finishing this up. The speakers are all plugged in, everything's good. Right now we're trying to find a good spot to put the fuse and under the hood, and I think we found a good one here. So what we did is we moved this, twist them a little bit, everything's plugged in the way it's supposed to be, and then we're going to utilize this hold right here, which was from another bracket that we removed, and then basically put our fuse holder in place here, so then we can run the wire to it and then from there to the battery. Alright guys, so we have everything plugged in right now. Still a mess right here, but we're about to take the center console off so we can get the radio and get access to the REM wire, which is the only one we need to plug in at this moment, and then just reroute this RCA cable. On the front, let me show you, we ended up doing a pretty nice clean install here. We used one of the existing bolts. We just drilled the hole on the fuse a little bit bigger so it could fit in there, and then we just ran it right into there, into the bottom of this, and then right here we have it sticking out for right now because it's not ready to be plugged in yet. So once we get this out and connect that REM wire, we should be ready to test everything and be good to go, I would believe. Here we have the current wiring for the truck. So you can see we came in one time and cleaned this up. This used to be a complete mess with a different stereo in there, but I switched to the Sony one, which is working a lot nicer. Has the USB and the aux port in it. We came in here, did all this, made it all nice and clean. So all the speakers work great. So now we have this wire, which is the REM wire. This is the one we need to hook up and then run it all the way to this, and then we should be good. We're also gonna route this along the carpet here so we can have a nice clean install and outside of the way. All right guys, we have our REM wire all nice plugged in. The electrical tape is just to make sure there's not going to be no shortage or anything in there. So all that is plugged in. The wire and the RC are running right along the carpet inside here. Coming out here, the REM wire is coming out right here. The RCA is coming out on the back because the inputs are in the back. So it's good. Now we need to start wrapping stuff up and then test it and see if it's working well. I think we did a pretty good job so far, so let's hope it all works out good. All right guys, we plugged everything else and speakers are working. Everything else is working here. Our tiny speakers are working, but they're working a little bit more like subs. So we'll fix that later with the settings and everything, but everything's good. So if you want to add an amp or a sub to your small Mazda, you can do it that way. That's just one way we routed everything. So it came out okay. It's not bad. It sounded good. It's about to start storming here, so we're probably going to wrap this up. And hopefully you guys like what we're doing. We'll see you guys on the next video. And bye.